This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, June 5th, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will visit with Scott Speck, U.S. Product Marketing Manager with Climate LLC. We're going to talk about some of the newest features of Climate Field View. I will also have a check of the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, it seems like we are definitely in that period of the year where we are making a lot of trading decisions based on the weather, or at least some of the people are making those decisions based on the weather. What did we see take place in the grain markets today?
Well, yeah, you're definitely correct in that we are in a weather market, and it seems to me like this year we are going to be so heightened. Traders are going to be wound up like a spring. Anything that's going to change during the day, any slight change in the weather forecast is going to cause the market to move, and that's basically what happened today again. On the overnight trade, we were higher. Looked like we were going to see some further strength as we move through the day, but then there were a few weather forecasts, whether they were the main weather forecasts or the just local weather forecasts, really doesn't make any difference in this weather market, but to some extent, I should say, it turned prices lower. So corn actually moved lower, into the day, with July being hit the hardest. Soybeans down. The only one that we really saw some strength holding is in the wheat market. There's a little different fundamentals coming out of the wheat, with some of the wheat drying from the top down in certain areas, but that's how fickle this market is going to be. So they're adding a little bit of moisture in some of the forecast, sends the market going the other way. Now, one other thing that probably is on some of the traders' minds is that last year, or I shouldn't say last year, looking back to 2012, when there's been a lot of correlations made to what's going on now as far as weather is concerned, a week from now is when the market took off in 2012. So you can't put dates to it, but if you're looking at similarities in dryness, that might be in their minds as well, that we could see strength later on this week because of that. But anyway, traders are just positioning themselves now. On the corn side, looking back at Commitment of Traders report up until May 30th might give us some impression of that, where the traders were short in corn. Now, on the Commitment of Traders report, funds bought 50,803 contracts, futures contracts. This is futures only. Now with their net shorts to 46,846 contracts. So that's quite a bit of a swing. That wasn't last week, but that was to the end of May 30th. So they seem to be making a little bit of a switch here, coming into this more of the weather market. Now, beans weren't quite so much, they've been fairly even. Funds bought 1,528 of the bean contracts, and they're net long 2,238. So not a lot really on that standpoint. Now, we did have the export inspections out this morning. Corn was 46.5 million bushels, down 6.5 million bushels from the previous week. But the main concern is the export inspections compared to a year ago. We were down 32%. Soybeans, 7.9 million bushels, down 1.1 million bushels this week, down 3% from a year ago. Wheat was at 10.7 million bushels, and that was down 3.7 million bushels from the week before. Now we're looking at crop progress this afternoon. Now corn's just about planted, 97% is the estimate. Crop condition in corn looking at 67% good to excellent. Soybeans are 92% planted or projected to be 92% planted. Condition at 65% good to excellent. Spring wheat 93% planted with condition at about 70%. That's the expectations. And winter wheat condition at 35%. So clearly we have this other fundamental things happening here and there, but weather is the primary object that is going to be moving this market intraday for the next month or so.
And Robin, with the livestock markets last week, we saw some days with some very big gains for cattle. We even saw some days to the positive for the hogs, which was great to see. What are we looking at on the livestock side of the markets here today?
Well, today we saw a continued follow through on the livestock, at least on the cattle, feeder cattle. Maybe a little bit struggling at the beginning for feeder cattle, but they did gain some legs under them as the time went on. The impressive move last week in the cattle, both in cash, $7 to $9 higher, as well as the futures. I mean, we had incredible increases in futures. And on Thursday last week, when they expanded limits or set their new limits, we saw such a movement higher, and not just because of that, but because of the higher cash trading. I look at that market and I think it's technically frightening to see something that moved that much and it's maintaining itself, and how it's been so far. We haven't really seen much of a correction. So moving into different territory now, can this cash be continued this week? There is some thought that it will be continued this week. Feedlots will hold out, but yet with this higher price, feedlots might be more apt to move some of that of their cattle to the market to take advantage of this price. However, if we maintain strong boxed beef like we saw at the midday today, then it does give the impression that maybe feedlots will hold for stronger and higher prices. At the midday, boxed beef choice was up $3.76 and select up $5.16. So that's a strong movement. Now we replenished Memorial Day demand last week. It seems like we're still seeing some strong demand this week. So that underpinned that market today. On the hogs, despite lower cash and cutouts Friday, they really performed very well today. June was down. That's got about 2 weeks left until that contract goes off the board. It's got to stay close to cash in the index. But in general, they held fairly well from there on back, even though of Friday's weaker cash, weaker cutouts. Now, the National Direct Morning Report for hogs showed cash down $1.07. That'll be adjusted a little bit when we get the final print for the day. But it did show some real surprising strength in cutouts, up $8.06 at the noon report. There was a huge jump in bellies of $36.33, and ham was up $10.01. So if we can maintain that kind of movement, we might see some support under the market. So traders, at least for the period of time, basically forgot about the implications that we might see on Prop 12 that supposedly are supposed to come into effect on July 1st. That might be pushed off a little bit, but hey, that was not a consideration last week, and certainly not early this morning. So hogs, I can't really say they found a solid bottom, but it sure gives some impression that they have.
Robin, a lot of great information here today, as always. How can our viewers get in touch to maybe personalize their plan a little bit more?
They can call me directly at 877. I'm sorry. They can call me directly at 877-256-3253, or go to our website, agmarket.net. The 844 numbers there. You can call and someone will be glad to help you.
He is Robin Schmahl with agmarket.net with our closing analysis today. Robin, thank you for the time and have a great week.
All right. Thank you for providing the time for me to be on.
That was Robin Schmahl with agmarket.net with our closing analysis. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn is down 11.5 at $5.97 1/2. New crop December corn down 4 1/4 at $5.37 even. July soybeans down 2.5 at $13.50 even. New crop November soybeans down 4 even at $11.79 3/4. August soybean meal up $2.50 at $3.94.50. August soybean oil down 28 cents at $49.19. Chicago wheat up 4 even at $6.36 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 16.5 at $8.22 1/4. Kansas hard red wheat up 9 1/4 at $8.16 1/2. And September oats up 4 even at $3.47 3/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 37 cents at $173.27. August feeder cattle up 70 cents at $242.60. June lean hogs down $1.40 at $85.32. June pork cutout down $1.05 at $87.97. And Class 3 milk down 10 cents at $15.19. And that's been a check of the ag market recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead now and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be joined by Scott Speck, U.S. Product Marketing Manager with Climate LLC. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today, I visit with Scott Speck, U.S. Product Marketing Manager with Climate LLC, about some of the newest features of Climate Field View. Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Scott Speck. He is Climate Field View U.S. Product Marketing Manager. I should say Climate Marketing Manager. And Scott, first of all, for many of our viewers, many of our listeners, they're going to know what we're talking about when we talk about Climate Field View. But Climate Field View is a digital tool that really helps you to keep track of everything that you've done on your farm and you are really working on at that time and planning to do. So could you kind of give us, Scott, just a little bit of an overview, please, as we start things out, what Climate Field View is able to help farmers with?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark, and thanks for having me. So Climate Field View is a software tool that helps farmers really collect and manage the data that they have on their operation. So it really starts with that data collection process. Field View users have a lot of different ways that they can bring their data into the Field View platform. Probably the most known that we have is our Field View Drive, which is our custom device that it fits into the equipment. Maybe that's a planter or a tractor with a planter, it's an applicator, it's a combine. Being able to have that brand agnostic device to pull data from that machine directly into our Field View Cab app so that our farmers can see what's going on as they're going through the field, but they're also collecting that data in real time. The next piece of that after we collect data is really starting to manage it throughout the season. So some of the features inside of Field View, like our scouting pins or field health imagery, checking field rainfall, helps farmers really understand how do I start to leverage these decisions throughout the year and then ultimately get to that harvest point. So again, Field View, using the Field View Drive or even uploading historical data, allows our customers to be able to start to analyze not only what did I do throughout the season, but what were those impacts that I saw as I went throughout that crop. So it could be tools like yield analysis is giving farmers that high level view of what happened across my operation, whether that's by field, crop, soil type, or even digging deeper with things like field region reports where that farmer can actually go in and select a specific area of the field, highlight and say, I want to know what the yield is here, but I also want to know what some of those impacts were. Was that a difference in yield that I saw based on different hybrids or varieties? Was it a different management practice that I had here? And starting to get the full picture so that I can make decisions not only in this cropping season, but also going into the next season as I start to plan.
And Scott, I know you're excited about some new features as well with Climate Field View, specifically when it comes to making those reports, I think, a little bit more able to share and then available for other people to see. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Mark. I think the really cool thing that we've been able to do recently is take some of the feedback from our customers and start to tailor features that they've been asking us for. And one of those great examples is our new Field View reports. So back in December, we released the new planting and application reports within the Field View app. What these reports do is they allow our customers to go in and start to analyze not only at that field level, but also starting to view on an operational level what happened across the farm. So if I just need to see quickly what were the different fields where I planted this same hybrid, or what was the total amount of a specific herbicide that I applied this year, those reports give our customers a way to customize exactly what they'd like to see and then view that in a tabular format. What was really exciting is that over the last couple of weeks, what we've been able to do is create those in a way that allows that customer to export them. So exporting in either a PDF or a CSV. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there as we think about not only how that farmer is looking at those reports, but also how they can start to share those with others that are on their team. So great time of year right now as we start wrapping up planting. If I need to start having that conversation around which products were planted where, what were the total acres that I had throughout the season, I can not only query that inside these new reports, but I can also share that with who I'd like to on my farm. So it gives a lot of flexibility when it comes to not only managing by that field level, but also starting to look at more of that operational level at the farm and really tailoring those reports based on the situation that I have.
So, Scott, in a way, this really gives you a way to aggregate your data, put it together in more of a readable format, I would say, for things like the July 15th crop insurance acreage reporting. That comes up July 15th. You have to have those numbers sent in for corn and soybeans. So, a report that has the numbers actually physically listed right there is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of us looking at what do we have today, but also what are customers telling us that they want inside of FieldView. So being able to act on some of that feedback with these reports, and that's a great example when we start thinking about acreage reports. I think it's also applicable as we start talking about planning for that next season. Here in a few months, we'll start hearing about new products, new prices, what's going to be coming out into the market with all these different things that I have to buy for my farm for next year. Where do I start that planning conversation about what will I have, but also what did I use this year? So getting a quick look at what did I have for inventory, what did I use in total this year to help me plan for next year, I think is also a really nice way of being able to put some applicability towards those reports.
And I think about climate field view on the whole, Scott, and I just think about a farmer maybe going through crop rotation. They go back a couple of years and look, hey, what did I do on this field, and what worked, and how can I do that again? But also, farmers are always looking to make improvements. So, has there been some areas where these types of features for the app have allowed farmers to say, this is something I can specifically measure, make that improvement, and then I actually saw it happen when I was out in my fields?
Yeah, I think a great example that we had actually starting to look back at the last year since we implemented this feature back in December, we had a lot of comments about I'd love to know where a specific product was planted. So oftentimes I maybe have one hybrid that I plant on multiple different fields. Maybe I have a hybrid that's performing really well, or maybe there's a hybrid that had some issues. And one of the big questions that a lot of customers had was, where can I find a good spot to look at this specific product? And I want to know which fields it was on because it could be on so many that I maybe forgot, or I've got to pull out the notebook and see where it is. So especially when we hear of stories of things like wind events where a product maybe had some issues or performance where it's laying down, where do I start to scout my field? So had some really great examples of use cases there from some of our customers and even our dealers working with our customers to be able to tailor down and say, okay, where are these specific products? Where are these specific applications? So that I can track down and make a plan of attack really quick in order to make a decision. So I'm really excited for this season to understand exactly how folks are using these reports and how we can even continue to improve them moving forward.
And Scott, is there anything else you'd like to let our listeners, our viewers know about when it comes to new features with Climate Field View and how they can use those features to make improvements on their operation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things as we look at not only new features here with these planting and application reports is that we're continuing to expand a lot of functionality inside of FieldView. So specifically, when we think about it from that shared operation or that dealer perspective, one of the newest features that we also released last year was a feature called multi-operation selection. So this feature is really unique if you have multiple different farms, or maybe you're a dealer or a seed professional that's working with multiple farmers who have shared their account with you. What this allows you to do is start to aggregate that information all into one type of report. So very similar with this planting and application report release. Maybe I'm a dealer of seed and I need to go check on a specific product across 5 different farmers who've shared their operation with me. Now I can really start to tailor that down to the operation and the location that I want to see. So I think that's a really exciting one as we think about the collaboration aspect of FieldView, not only how our farmers are utilizing the product, but also those that are trusted advisors or on that farm team being able to really understand exactly how they can help manage and drive some of those competent decisions on the farm. So I think that's a really exciting piece of not only some of the features that we've been able to release recently, but also the direction that we're going, hearing from customers and really acting on that feedback that we receive.
He is Scott Speck with Climate Field View, telling us all today about some of the new features from the Climate Field View product line. Scott, thank you so much for the time. Very interesting conversation, and we'll speak again hopefully soon.
That sounds great. Yeah, thanks so much, Mark.
And that was Scott Speck, U.S. Product Marketing Manager with Climate. Let's turn our attention now to the ag weather outlook. Well, we talked earlier today in our closing market analysis. We are currently in the middle of a weather market where analysis is being done based on the weather. Trades are being made based on the weather. And at least right now, it does feel like summertime here in Iowa. It was a warm up today that started early in the morning and got us to our current temperature, which feels pretty toasty outside. And looking at the rest of the state, chances for isolated thunderstorms in western Iowa today. Tonight, partly clear skies. Then we will have some chances once again for isolated thunderstorms. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, but then things change. Widespread chances for thunderstorms throughout the state of Iowa. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, partly to mostly sunny around the state of Iowa today. We do have some chances for isolated thunderstorms in western Iowa, and high temperatures today expected 84 to 89. Tonight, partly clear, slight chances of isolated thunderstorms, low temperatures this evening 59 to 64. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, then widespread chances for thunderstorms throughout the state of Iowa. High temperatures tomorrow expected in the 84 to 89 range. And now turning our attention to our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee, a chance of thunderstorms and a high around 89. Shenandoah, sunny, then a slight chance of thunderstorms, also a high around 89. Des Moines, mostly sunny Tuesday, then a chance of thunderstorms, high around 88. Albia, mostly sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms, high around 86. Waterloo will have a chance of thunderstorms on Tuesday and a high around 85. Clinton also with a chance of thunderstorms, high around 84. For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. We have those scattered thunderstorm chances throughout the state today, tonight, and even tomorrow. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcasts, which are found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.